prominent news anchor journalist of CNN Philippines that everybody knows. She has an interesting background. She started off as a radio journalist and moved her way up over a period of time, a couple of decades at least, that she has been in the business, and now certainly one of the nation's most prominent news anchors. So please welcome an interesting story, Ruth Cabal of CNN Philippines.
Thank you, Richard, for that. It's really an honor to be part of this year's Asia CEO Women's Forum. And like many people at this time, I'm actually, sorry about my throat, but I'm actually quarantined at home because I was exposed to a family member who was positive with COVID-19. But of course, we will not let this pandemic get in the way of the things we have to do right. So as I would always tell my colleagues, this is what we trained for. This is exactly what we live for. As reporters, we know and we face the dangers and the risks. We go to a province even before a typhoon makes its landfall. I also remember one time there was a magnitude 7.2 earthquake in Bohol, and our network had to hire a private plane to make sure we were the first team on the scene. And of course, we walk into war zones in Mindanao with what 6-pound bulletproof vests and Kevlar helmets and all. So most of my life, that's actually how it's been for me as a journalist and as a woman, taking risks, facing up to challenges, diving into the unknown, but making sure that I'm equipped enough to do my job. I was in high school, I remember seeing Jessica Soho. So she was covering a gunfight in Tuguegarao between government forces and rebel soldiers. I was watching her. She was sort of like ducking and flinching with every gunshot, but she never stopped reporting. She was just talking about what was happening live. And I told myself, that's what I wanted to be. So from the start, I was sure with what I wanted to be. It's just that it wasn't an easy path. So while I was in college, I was a working student. I first worked in a radio station. I wrote, and then I reported the hourly newscast. So back then we were just using newspapers or wires, and I would just write whatever I would read from the papers as a free-spirited college student would. There were a lot of other things that I wanted to do. I joined a rock band. I traveled. I almost got married. So it took me 8 years before I finished college. After that, I applied to all three major TV networks. There was ABC5, ABS-CBN, and GMA. So it was ABC5 who first called me up. I worked as a junior reporter for 1 year before I got hired in GMA. And of course, in GMA, lo and behold, that's where my idol, Jessica Soho, was, and she became my boss and my mentor. I worked there for almost 15 years. It's just fine. I found myself like enjoying to write a lot of political stories and also doing investigative and special report. I remember a time when most of the newsrooms, all of the newsrooms in the major networks were actually led by women executives. For me, when I do my job, I just don't read the report. I just don't give the facts or present the facts. I explain, I give context to events or issues. Richard, I was just telling you that, because of this Omicron variant, we had to limit our operations. So right now, I would do my show right here from home, but I can also interview people from my home. I can do an investigative report and research everything online just using my laptop. So there's really nothing that can stop me from performing my duty as a journalist, from doing more and from being more.
Ruth, can I ask you a question? Now, yes, it's impressive what can be done online, especially in news, but I kind of miss sometimes that personal touch where I see you, beside someone and you're getting the inside, thing. And do you think
running around the field covering events?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think it'll go back to the way it was, or you think it's going to be more a hybrid in the future? What do you see it?
I think everyone's looking at it as being the new normal, that this is how the future is going to be. Of course, we would always prefer to interview someone in person, face to face, but now we're actually accepting that it works the same way. If, like what we're doing now, we're doing the interviews via Zoom or online. It doesn't get in the way of getting the information, of you asking questions, or you trying to get the facts.